children, you're looking for signs of life.
All of a sudden, I felt something hit me on top of the head, and I had the second floor of the house on top of my body.
It's just one of those things. We just had to get him out of the area.
I could hear people yelling that the building was on fire. So I went back in.
We all know that there's a chance we won't come home the next day.
Then my father went to work one night and he kissed us all goodbye. And little did we realize that night we all would cry. For my father gave his life that night when the floor gave way below. And I wondered, why would he risk his life for someone he didn't know?
Some of you are here for the first time today, but probably not the last. I want you to know that we share your sadness, your grief, and your pain over the loss of your loved ones.
I guess you could ask the question, why, if we have a memorial in Colorado Springs, a national memorial, why would we want one in Sacramento? Well, there's lots and lots of people in California who would never have an opportunity to see a memorial in Colorado Springs. Most importantly, those families who may have lost a husband or a wife in the line of duty should have the opportunity to have their spouse honored in the state in which he worked. When we really decided to go forward with this, it obviously started with some legislative action. And so we turned to the guy that we've counted on for the last 30 years, and that's Brian Hatch, our legislative advocate, to help us get the ball rolling.
We knew it would be a major job, not just doing the legislation, but of course, you know, following through and actually building a memorial. So we were really pretty intimidated at the thought of, you know, starting down this path.
Maybe if I would have known the difficulties and the hurdles, I might have not built it in Capitol Park. But the fact of the matter is, it is the seat of our government. It is the place that represents what we represent as government workers.
Assemblyman Rusty Reyes was chair of the Select Committee on Fire Services, and we felt it was appropriate for him to carry the bill because of his knowledge and appreciation for the fire service and what firefighters go through.
And what we had to make sure that we did was get the bill through the legislature and to the governor and lobby it effectively to convince the governor that the most fitting of all these worthwhile causes was a memorial for firefighters here in California.
In 1990, I was working for Assemblyman Rusty Reyes. When we wrote the legislation, we wanted to make sure that everybody was involved. The park is a state and national landmark. Not only were we doing a memorial to firefighters, but that we wanted to guarantee that the integrity of the park would be maintained.
Raising funds to construct the memorial encouraged the California Professional Firefighters to utilize its nonprofit charitable organization, the California Fire Foundation.
The California Fire Foundation was actually established to do outreach and to help firefighters' families when they lose their lives in the line of duty. So it was a natural extension of that process to place the memorial or the responsibility of constructing the memorial with that fire foundation.
The beginning of the pain was after the memorial bill was signed, because then there was a constant worry, how are we going to raise the money, how are we going to raise the money?
There were two principal methods that we raised large amounts of money. The first one was an income tax checkoff. The second one was a little more of a task, but a little more worthwhile, and that was a firefighter license plate.
We feel very positive about using the silhouette of the firefighter. We feel it's very recognizable from very far distances.
CPF-sponsored legislation to allow the Department of Motor Vehicles to create a specialized firefighter license plate, which could only be purchased by active and retired firefighters. The firefighter icon displayed on the plate was taken from the image of actor Kurt Russell in Universal Pictures' box office hit, Backdraft. Universal Pictures and Academy Award-winning director Ron Howard were gracious and generous enough to allow CPF the permission to use this image for their license plate. In order for the DMV to process and manufacture the firefighter license plate, the California Professional Firefighters had to submit 5,000 completed, paid, and signed applications. Fulfilling this requirement was a challenge in itself, but CPF also had the added pressure of meeting the Department of Motor Vehicles deadline within just 1 year.
We started off by writing to the firefighters and putting advertisements in the newspaper. It was taking off, but a little bit slowly, so through the middle of the year, we decided we needed to send staff out into the fire stations to sell the license plates.
We were traveling probably anywhere from 4 to 6 days a week, averaging about 50 to 60 stations a week. Some firefighters would apply for an application for every car that they had, so we were getting 2 to 3 applications per firefighter, so they're very receptive, very supportive.
And with just 3 days to spare, California Professional Firefighters met the deadline.
And it's with a great amount of pleasure that I'd like to present you with a check for $243,265, which represents 5,132 plates or firefighter plates that we hope to be on the road within the next few months.
In addition, contributions from the California State Income Tax Checkoff and donations made by corporate entities has raised more than $500,000 on behalf of the Firefighters Memorial. But it was the fundraising efforts launched by CPF's local unions that made the most impact.
Once they realized that this was a real thing and it was going to happen, the firefighters, like they always do, really rallied around this whole thing and have been principally the architects of making it a success.
On May 31st, 1995, a location in historic Capitol Park was officially dedicated and set aside for the construction of the California Firefighters Memorial.
The memorial to those brave men and women will be built by those of us who are here today. It will become a reality because the leadership in California will not forget the sacrifices we remember with this ceremony.
Our youngest child and only son had been practicing his career in the fire service for 8 months when the tree struck him. In my mind, I always believed that he would bury us, yet it had fallen to my wife and I to bury our only son. I speak for many family members that have suffered the loss of a firefighter when I tell you this means a great deal to all of us. Building a fallen firefighter memorial in California is an answer to many prayers.
One of the first things when I became executive director is we did a survey of all of the firefighters in California, asking them, what is it that's important to you? What do you want to see in this memorial? 98% wanted the names. They wanted to know who it was that paid that price.
So obviously, the vision of this memorial had to have a wall. Had to have a wall with human beings' names on it, because that's the eternal part of this. Beyond that, obviously some art depicting our profession was important.
It would be clearly a memorial to firefighters. It's a very traditional memorial. So the idea that you see firefighters, but when you see them, that it's inspiring. That what they, some feel for the work they do.
Artists Jesus Romo and Lawrence Allen Noble were commissioned by the California Fire Foundation to create and sculpt the statues that would depict the honor and valor of California's fallen heroes.
I found out that they were starting to think, or they were considering building a monument to firefighters in the state capitol. I immediately set out to come up with some concept for the monument, because I very much wanted to take part in it.
A native of Mexico City, Jesus Romo came to the United States after completing college. In 1975, he was hired by the Sacramento City Fire Department and quickly climbed the ranks. Determination and hard work led to his promotion as battalion chief. And in 2001, Jesus Romo retired from his beloved profession after dedicating 27 years of service. As an artist, however, Jesus Romo continues to dedicate his entire life.
Here I am, an artist, has given an opportunity to create something that is going to last for a long time, and that one thing is a memorial to my other profession, which is firefighter. It has been a marriage of two of my greatest passions.
Because of his valiant efforts during the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake, San Francisco Fire Captain Jerry Shannon was chosen to portray the strong, silent hero in Jesus Romo's sculpture for the Firefighters Memorial, Fallen Brother.
There was a building collapse. This one, the woman was trapped. She was on the second floor and her building toppled into the street and she was pinned underneath 2 floors.
I could hear people. They couldn't hear me when I was trying to just shout.
There were a lot of dynamics involved. There was broken gas mains. The building across the street collapsed. And it took a couple hours with chainsaws and blocks to cut under the flooring and the building that was on top of her and get to her.
There was a beam across me, I guess, across where he was trying to get to, when he said, I'm going to put my hand under this beam, and if you can see it, touch it or let me know.
She grabbed my hand and held my hand for a while, and I said, okay, I'm going to go back and get another chainsaw. We're going to need to cut this beam, and she wasn't letting go of my hand.
So I begged him not to leave, and he assured me, though, that he would be back. And I could hear when he got out, people telling him not to come back in because the gas and different things that were happening. And it wasn't too long before he came back with the chainsaw.
So there were a lot of interesting things going on in there. And it was a big relief to see her put in the ambulance.
And by the time they got me out, I was asking for his last name. And then he told me Shannon. His courage and bravery just impressed me indelibly and still does the rest of my life. Jerry and all firefighters, for that matter.
If there was ever somebody that you could look at and call a hero, and the epitome of what we do and what we are, is Jerry Shannon. He's a very humble guy, he's a very family guy. I can't think of anybody better that should have their face on a memorial statue for the next 200 years than Jerry. He's perfect. He jumps right at you, and to know him is to love him.
It's so flattering that it's hard to believe, and in some way it's embarrassing because there are, guys out there doing this stuff every night that never ever get any recognition. And here I am, kind of representing them, and I'm honored and I'm flattered. In some ways, it makes you feel kind of small.
He has a very strong face. He has strong features. So I was fortunate. He has the face that I was already looking for anyway. I set out to capture that moment when one of the firefighters has gone down and is injured or killed.
To capture the essence of strength and emotion in his piece, Romo intensively studied the mannerisms and physical features of his fellow firefighters during each shift.
So I had to feel the desperation and the despair that the rescuer was feeling. And I also, in a way, put myself in the place of a firefighter who had gone down.
He would study a hand gesture, paying close attention to intricate veins, bone structure, muscles, and skin texture.
I felt that hand had to have as much expression as the faces. That hand was so vital for the total composition that I chose to show it without a glove. So you could see that it was totally limb and that this person had, in fact, died. I am eternally grateful to the committee that picked me as one of the artists. And I am grateful to all the firefighters of California that allow me this honor. I hope that they are pleased with the results, and I hope that I have done them the due honor that they deserve.
Nice work.
What do you think?
Looks great.
Thank you so much. If you like it, I think everybody's gonna like it. Thank you again. Hello.
You guys all right over there? We go right over the pedestal.
Stop.
All these men and women worked with Jesus, so nothing would be more appropriate than to have his co-workers. And I was proud to be with them, and we got the job done, like firefighters always do.
One of the greatest gifts an artist can be involved in is a gift that gives to a community.
Artist and designer Lawrence Noble upholds an esteemed reputation among the art community. With a wealth of experience and passion for his craft, Noble has collaborated on projects with major studios such as Lucasfilm, Universal Pictures, Warner Brothers, and Disney. Noble's most compelling artistic pieces, however, have been inspired by the selfless acts and contributions from our public safety officers and firefighters.
They have a dangerous job. Before September 11th, we looked up to heroes. After September 11th, we realized those heroes help lead our society. You know, I had a sense of I'd like to show firefighters in action because Jesus already had the emotional aspect.
Lawrence Noble's statue for the California Firefighters Memorial, entitled Holding the Line, is larger than life. In a matter of 3 months, Noble sculpted 4 7-foot statues depicting an action scene where 4 firefighters, connected by a massive hose line and a shared ethic of teamwork, face the challenge of battling a blaze on an uphill incline. Holding the line compels us to look up to our heroes, that their sense of duty and uncommon courage is indeed profound.
So I had an idea. The idea was that these separate firefighters from different parts of the spectrum, would come together for a single purpose. And it doesn't matter if it's a chief, a CDF firefighter, county firefighters, city firefighters. If there was a fire right in front of them, they'd drop what they're doing, they'd run, and they'd get it out. They'd do the best they could as a team.
People have asked me, why would you want to go into burning building where everybody's trying to come out? Well, we have to put out a fire. Well, we have to save lives, and that's our first priority, is save lives.
Los Angeles County Fire Captains Frank Reynoso and Steve Bowie were selected to pose as models for 2 of the statues. Their professional integrity, physical build, and their code of teamwork and trust put them at the top of the line.
Frank Reynoso was the model for this first firefighter, and he has got to be stable. He's the hose man. He's the guy everyone relates to and everyone responds to. He's got to be a stable position. So you notice both feet are planted very firmly. He's at the ready. He's going to make everything happen.
If you dial 911, there will be a fire engine there and some medics, and we're there to help you. And it doesn't matter white, black, brown, or orange, and it doesn't matter what your income is. It doesn't matter what your address is. We will treat you and your family and your house like it's your castle.
You get a sense of motion and emotion and a real quiet resolve in Steve's face. When he modeled, I saw that in him, that not much would really get him, upset or get him off track.
It's an honor to know that I participated in such a huge event that's going to allow everyone to remember firefighters who gave their life in the line of duty.
Now, Rose Conroy is the 4th figure in the grouping, and Rose is distinguished by the fact that, as well as being a very capable firefighter and wonderful human being, she's the first female chief in the state of California.
I think it's really good. I think it's great that the California Fire Foundation decided to have a woman represented, because We are a part of the fire service in California. It must have been a huge, huge decision on who to choose, and because there are so many deserving people in the state. It's going to be there forever, and that's a big deal as a mom. She's going to see it, you know, when she's older, and that was real important. That was real important for me.
It's hard to describe the emotions, but this one is real special to me. Every firefighter has to face themselves in a dire circumstance sooner or later. It's how they mature, it's how they grow, it's how they become firefighters of heart and craft. Some don't make it. Some die in the process.
Even to this day, it's very hard to talk about Kenny.
Following in his father's footsteps, Kenny Enslow had just begun a promising career in the fire service. As a young, enthusiastic firefighter for the California Department of Forestry, Kenny was out on the front lines battling a wildfire in Mendocino County with his fellow crew. But an unexpected tragic turn came as Kenny was struck by a falling tree branch.
When I was standing next to Kenny in his hospital bed, I spoke to him about some of the things I wanted to do. Certainly one of those things was not the Fallen Firefighter Memorial.
At just 20 years old, Kenny Enslow had lost his life in the line of duty. August 14th, 1990.
After Kenny died for 3 months, I sat at home. I did not go to work. I didn't know what to do with myself. When I learned about this memorial, all of a sudden, I had something that meant something to me and to the rest of the families who lost loved ones.
There's been nobody more committed to this project than Chief Enslow, no better spokesperson, and nobody that deserves what peace this may give him when this thing is dedicated.
And Chief Enslow has been a generous and wonderful friend. That's evolved through the process. To sculpt Kenny was really difficult. It was difficult emotionally, it was difficult physically.
He's got it to a T, and you can't see his eyes because of the hat, but he's got the sparkle in his eyes. He just nailed it.
Since the funeral, I've had this picture of my son, and I wanted to keep him with me, and so I carry it in my pocket, and he's with me every day. And to have this picture be such a likeness of what we have before us today, and know that it will be in Capitol Park for all these years to come, means more to me than I can relay to anybody.
And Larry, the sculptor, spent a lot of time with my parents and all of us, and he just went through every picture we had and just really captured not just the way he looked, but he captured his heart in his work.
Makes me extremely proud of what my brother was there for, what he stood for, and just that he gave all. It makes me extremely proud to be a member of the fire department and have my brother a big part of this memorial.
God meant for you to go first, not them. And I think that's one of the hardest things in life is when you lose any child. When I go there to that memorial and I see those other families, I'm going to know the torment they're going through. You learn to cope with it, but you never get over it. Never.
You see your talent being able to help someone through their grief or help someone honor a loved one, to be used for a community. You can't help but feel better for it.
The heart of the California Firefighters Memorial is its massive wall that embraces the immortality of the brave men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. To honor their last and final call, a fire helmet and a set of turnouts forever remain.
And all the firefighters whose names are on this wall have gone off duty forever. And I wanted to have their coat and their helmet hanging permanently on this wall.
Researching the names to be inscribed on the memorial wall was a challenging project. The criteria was based on the same policy already set in place with the International Association of Firefighters Memorial.
Take a minute and go through the names on your own first, and then we can go through them one by one.
You would think getting these names would be an easy task, and it wasn't. We had a group of people come together, a committee, if you will, who have been working on this for the last 2 years. We sent to every department, to every local union, to everybody that was even remotely connected with the fire service in an attempt to get these names. And we left no stone unturned, we hope.
And so when the names come in and I look at the names and I think, the stories are just, they're not just stories and they're not just names. These are real people. And what they left behind was just, a loss that whether it was 10 years ago or 50 years ago, it never gets filled.
The first recorded death of a California firefighter is dated back to our state's inception in 1850. California's first fallen hero, James Welsh from the San Francisco Fire Department, will lead his fellow brothers and sisters toward their timeless legacy.
Our goal in life would be to never add another name. That ultimately is where we'd want to be with this memorial. In case we have to, in case somebody dies in the line of duty, then we want to be there for them, to be a support to their family, and make sure they're not forgotten.
The design of the memorial wall leaves several untouched panels in place, a solemn reminder of losses that have yet to be felt, heroes yet to be named.
To the right, slow, alert.
From the inspirational drone of the bagpipes to the rhythmic pounding of the drums, the Celtic and Scottish sounds of bagpipe bands hold an historical and traditional role within the fire service.
Every fire department of any size in the eastern part of the United States has bagpipers.
The East Coast fire departments and police departments have a long history of pipe bands within their organization. It's our belief that it stems from the immigration of many Europeans into the United States.
So it just seemed like such an appropriate thing to create this, to build some tradition.
The California Professional Firefighters advertised its search for pipers and drummers through its quarterly newspaper. The #1 requirement to become a member of the band was that the individual be a professional firefighter.
They're all professional firefighters, but they're from all over the state of California, which is appropriate because we're from all over the state of California.
Very few of us had no experience. Some of us had little, but we've all kind of come together, and with a lot of help from everybody, we've all kind of risen to the occasion. And
when I got here, they needed a bass drummer. So since I had no experience, I kind of jumped on that, and it's been good. I've learned how to play the other drums too, but I keep coming back to this. It's a lot more fun for me.
They have come together as firefighters. They know what their role is. They know what their purpose is. They're up here practicing.
Initially, we have like about a 30-minute little meeting with all the band members. Then we separate and break off into groups. The drummers do their own thing, the pipers do their own thing. And then after lunch, we all get together out in the parking lot and either march or just play in a big circle.
These are great. They're really great guys, and they all do this on their own time. They give of their time.
We are able to give something back to the fire service, to our brothers and sisters in the fire service, and we really appreciate that opportunity.
The pipes and drums of the California Professional Firefighters will continue to uphold its mission as a ceremonial band, performing at line-of-duty firefighter funerals, memorial services, and other fire service events. Their proudest performance will come on April 6, 2002, the day the California Firefighters Memorial will be unveiled. The most anxiously anticipated day in California firefighters' history had at last arrived, and it was breathtaking. Opening the day's event A breakfast was held that morning on the east lawn of the state capitol to honor the family members of California's fallen firefighters.
One of the principal duties we've worked on for the last 10 years has been the construction of this memorial that we're going to dedicate today.
It was a welcoming, heartfelt gathering, reuniting over 1,400 relatives near and far. Together, they celebrated the lives and contributions of their fallen hero. Some enduring decades of loss and sorrow, others far too young to understand. Memories were shared with close and familiar faces, and comfort and compassion was offered through newfound friends, bound by a common thread.
He died. I was in training at that.
It brings memories back for all of us, and because we have some happy memories, and it's good to be here with all the rest of the fire families and stuff. It brings honor to the occupation.
Yeah, we're here to celebrate the memorial of my father, who was a captain for Arcadia Fire Department, who fell through a roof back in August 1975. Just coming here, seeing my dad's name on the wall, getting together with family that we haven't seen in a long time. It definitely helps the grief process.
Wonderful stories of 855 different people over the years, the last century and a half, who felt this extraordinary sense of duty and a willingness to serve others and risk their lives as they did. There's not enough that can be done or said to honor their memories, and so I'm privileged to be able to participate in this salute.
Most people are desperately running away from these catastrophic events, and here are people whose job it is to run into them.
Having joined the department in '57, lived through a lot of these things. You look at the memorial and you say there, but for the grace of God, go I.
I don't know about closure, but it is a really good feeling to know that he is going to be honored with all the firefighters who've given their lives like he has.
That was on his 3rd birthday. His grandpa was a firefighter, and he always wanted a fire engine in his fire hat.
It's by my heart. I have his baby ring and the cross he wore when he passed away. It does always stay with me.
The long-awaited unveiling of the California Firefighters Memorial drew a crowd of over 5,000 family members, friends, and public supporters to Capitol Park that afternoon.
You know, the families that are obviously proud that this is happening, but are also grieving. And seeing the work covered in the blue and knowing that after 11 years it's going to be unveiled, not all the emotions that you have humanly run through you.
I'm sure when these are unveiled, it will be a great tribute to the firefighters that have lost their lives for their community. So it's just a wonderful event, but excited too that it's finally here and that all of the work that the California Fire Foundation has done is completed.
It's an honor to be here today, and I'm really proud of Brett, and I know he would be honored to be here too. And it's just great being a family member, and I'm just glad to be here and honor him today and the rest of the firefighters that were killed.
I feel very greatly of what he did. It was really, really nice, and I love him so much.
And as a former vice president, I'm honored to be able to be here today. I think this is probably the biggest tribute to organized labor, particularly firefighter labor, and more specifically the California professional firefighters and Dan Terry. So it is my honor and pleasure just to stand here today and witness it firsthand.
The stateliness of the color guards and the compelling notes of the pipes and drums of the California professional firefighters led the impressive march of over 2,000 firefighters, representing all ranks within the fire service. CPF President Dan Terry and IAFF General President Harold Schaitberger were accompanied by Governor Gray Davis and fellow statewide officers. To those who stood watch, it was a heartfelt testament of the loyalty and bond of every California firefighter.
I will also reflect on the many people.
The ceremony that afternoon was a tearful tribute to the 855 heroes who gave their lives for the sake of others.
It has taken more than a decade for the California Firefighters Memorial to pass from a distant dream to the reality that we're about to unveil today. It carries the names and the names of 855 men and women, 855 different stories, every one of them important to you, the firefighters, important to all of us as citizens of California.
Firefighters truly are one, and because of that, they will go to the end of the earth to help, to protect, or to mourn one of their own. That's why they embrace and protect the families of our fallen heroes. So to honor all in our profession, and to honor their loved ones who also give so much, it's now my distinct privilege to ask for the unveiling of fallen brothers.
I have learned that remembering heroes will break your heart. You see, at the end of the day, you are left with the inexorable truth that families are waiting for someone who isn't coming home, and someone who was deeply loved has sacrificed all that he or she held most dear.
There are more than 1,000 of us here today, and I know every one of us is excited and proud that our loved one's sacrifice will be immortalized on the wall behind me. But I also know there isn't one among us that wouldn't give up all that excitement and pride for one more day with the person whose name is etched on the wall. On behalf of all of the family members gathered here and the countless more who carry the memory of a fallen firefighter in their hearts, I ask for the unveiling of Holding the Line.
Today in this hallowed place, etched into polished limestone, are the names of California firefighters who laid down their lives so you and I might live. Their names are not famous, their lives are not legend, but today we honor 855 of them as heroes.
The unveiling of the California Firefighters Memorial on April 6, 2002 embraces nearly 2 centuries of the contributions and self-sacrifices our firefighters have surrendered in the line of duty. It was an historic day, a timeless tribute, a day that will forever remain in the hearts of those who will never forget.
If you can hear me, I want you to know I would gladly have taken your place in the arms of the angels, far away from here, in your peaceful surrender. You stood tall in the face of fear. I will never forget you. I salute you, my dear friend, in the arms of the angels. We shall meet someday again. In the arms of the angels, we shall meet again.
This will mean a great deal, not just to the sacrifice of the individuals, but for the living, because everyone who sees this memorial will think about the firefighters that are working in our state.
Everybody has the same sentiments, same feelings, that this is a great tribute. Somebody knows somebody on the wall.
I'm sure the family of the fallen firefighters are proud, and we're proud to be there, but the statue is there for them.
It brought a lot of families together. I know I spoke with several families that
it just was touching to share stories with them and to see that there's a connection, even though we've never met before. There was a connection between us all as an extended family.
It's going to sound crazy, but I was up there and I was patting his hand and saying, "This is my baby, my boy."